Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, and a good evening. Meteorologist Chris Smith here. Panhandle Weather live at 6 o'clock this evening. Beautiful, beautiful look this evening over Harbor Walk Village. And if you look real carefully, you can see a lot of folks milling about this evening here on this comfortable November night. Bring in meteorologist Dan Nyman, who is across town, hanging out in his own abode this evening. How are we doing today?
Yeah, pretty comfortable outside today. I was out and about with the windows down in the car. It's just warm enough for that to feel real good, but of course not humid enough that you feel the need to crank the windows back up and turn on the AC.
Yeah, I think that's coming Sunday when the humidity starts to increase just a bit. So at least we have tonight and tomorrow, I think should feel pretty good. I was at University Academy this morning for Career Day, bright and early. That was from 8 until 11. We had kindergarten through third graders there, had a good time, and I have some videos of the kiddos and the event there coming up in just a bit. You want to go ahead and get down to business? Here we go. Let's talk about what's going on weather-wise. Today, quiet conditions, dew point temperatures near the coastline starting to creep up to near 60 degrees. Air temperature right now 70 degrees across our region. There you see the flag blowing. This is Panama City Beach. This is over at Pineapple Willie's there, but you can definitely see that wind blowing kind of right down the beach. You see the pier off there into the distance, but all in all, pretty nice evening expected across the Panhandle. And here on this Friday night, you can tell that it's comfortable enough because we have a lot of folks still eating out this evening outside. As we look at live Doppler radar, it's all quiet. Nothing in the way of any rainfall. As you look out over into the western Panhandle, though, away from the coastline, so inland, we do have dense fog advisories in effect for Okaloosa, Santa Rosa, Escambia counties, and that extends over into Baldwin County, Mobile County, and as a matter of fact, through the entire state of Louisiana. So if you're traveling overnight, say from Panama City to Houston, it's going to be a foggy drive across I-10. Now, back here at home, I'm not expecting a ton of fog across most of our area. I think Escambia, Santa Rosa counties would be most likely to see some of that fog. Our weather remains all high and dry. Now, for more on the temperatures as well as the fog, let's go to meteorologist Dan Nyman.
Yeah, something we see a little more often, I think, as you get these transitions between seasons. And of course, we will certainly have some of those fog issues the next few mornings. We'll continue to see a decent setup for that, both with the clear skies that we're enjoying and then, of course, relatively calm conditions out across the Panhandle too. Temperatures warm, but so are the dew point temperatures rising into the weekend. So as you're out there tonight, if you haven't left already for Friday night football, things start off pretty comfortable. Things, though, will cool down by the fourth quarter. Probably a sweatshirt will do as you get in towards the final snap there at the football games. Playoff football here this evening. Your 3-hour planner, or 12-hour planner, I should say, carries you through the evening tonight. Still cool, especially inland. As you get towards the coast, you will notice that difference for tomorrow morning, which is one of the reasons why, with that shift of a slight onshore wind, we are going to be watching for the development of some of this patchy fog, more likely in the western Panhandle as you get east of, say, 3 331, it's fairly unlikely you'll see more than just a little bit of patchy light fog. But there you see, back towards Pensacola, especially into southwestern Alabama, certainly going to see some decreased visibilities. And then as you get into Sunday morning, it is even more notable for a larger swath of the Panhandle. Otherwise, temperatures still cool to start up towards State. Marietta down to 44 tomorrow morning, 43 in Bluntstown, and 47 in Tallahassee. Look at the coast, though. 57 degrees in Destin will feel pretty good. Same for Inlet Beach, 53 degrees at Tyndall Air Force Base, and then 52 down towards Apalachicola. Plenty of viewer photos coming in. Another fantastic-looking sunset this evening. This one from Ben Simmons, that November sunset with a few clouds across the Gulf there, just adding some color towards the sky. And then we received this one, that afterglow. A little bit of cloud coverage out there too, but all of that just adding to the effect as you look outside. We'd love to see your viewer photos coming on in. We're happy to share those on the show every night at 6 as well. Be sure to download that Panhandle Weather app on the iOS or Google Play Store. It's totally free. On the homepage there, you'll find that Submit Photos tab. You can find that, of course, with the QR code on the screen right now, or just go to your respective app store and search for it as well. It will pop up probably the first search result at this point, Chris. I think we've been up long enough to earn that victory for Panhandle Weather.
Search in Panhandle, a W, and we should probably be up there close to the top, at least God willing we are. So anyway, coming up, we're going to talk about the weekend forecast. And we'll talk about rain chances. Obviously, it's been a while, and it may be a while before we see more rainfall, but we'll have a rundown of that, plus have the kiddos from University Academy in just a few minutes.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire, and how to control the flames. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Your piece of land demands the very best equipment. Kubota equipment. The #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. With professional grade mowers, versatile sidekick utility vehicles, and compact tractors that get it done right. All backed by unmatched dealer support. Talk to your dealer today to schedule a demo.
Now is a great time for a new Toyota, where you can get 1.99% APR on a new Camry and get $500 in holiday cash. Get 3.49% APR on a new Corolla and get $500 in holiday cash. Get 1.99% on a new Tacoma, plus $1,000 in holiday cash. And 1.99% on a new Tundra, plus you'll get $1,000 in holiday cash. Visit our lot or browse online at Panama City Toyota.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing that keeps us focused.
A habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game, to drown out that self-doubt and support your mental health? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and your mental health.
Discover the resources that you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Now, from your trusted team of meteorologists at Panhandle Weather, this is your evening forecast update.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Yvette, Kim, Georgianne. We appreciate you tuning in this evening to the live chat there on for Panhandle Weather Live at 6 o'clock. Look at this. Another day, another school. I was at University Academy this morning and had a fantastic time. I wasn't the only one. There were a lot of different careers represented out there. We had linemen, we had the FPL, we had cement company. There was a lot of big equipment that was out there that was way cooler than a weatherman at a card table, but nonetheless, we had a fantastic time. This was the best right here. There was a builder right in front of me. They set me up right next to this guy right here. You see all those right there? And it was 3 hours of kids hammering nails. It was fantastic. We had a great time. Then they put me next to this right here, a GMC, like $150,000 electric SUV. So anyway, it was an uphill task to keep the kids entertained for me, but I still had a great time there at University Academy. Here's what's happening weather-wise across our area. Our forecast headlines this weekend: warm and dry, but it will be more humid on Sunday. Next week, the dry weather continues. Don't expect much rainfall, and rain chances probably not until next weekend. That's about as early as we're going to get anything that might be decent. So we'll stay quiet overnight tonight into your Saturday. You notice how the clouds move offshore? Northerly flow. That's keeping it dry enough that we can still get 40s inland and 50s at the coast. Watch what happens. Clouds, they begin to reverse and make their way back up towards the coastline tomorrow. That's that moisture returning, and that's going to lead to lows in the 50s and 60s as opposed to the 40s and 50s across our region. Winds, again, you'll see this light onshore wind this evening, but then look, the winds reverse. Offshore wind overnight into your Saturday morning, but then watch what happens by Saturday night. Onshore wind develops, and that begins to pump in the moisture across our area. And then Sunday, we get a little bit of a breezier westerly wind across our area, and so we'll start to see, say, Gulf conditions be a little bit bumpier. I think Saturday's a great day for boating. Sunday will be a little bumpier. Probably 2-foot seas out on the Gulf. Bays will probably be a light to a moderate chop. Tomorrow they're going to be smooth. So it might be your last chance to get the boat out because we're kind of running out of time before all the holiday stuff kind of takes hold and the boat, moves back, second fiddle, if you will. Saturday morning, 40s inland, 50s on the coastline. Winter Wonderland tomorrow. That's in Lynn Haven, Sharon Sheffield Park. It's free. We got all sorts of family-friendly events, 150 vendors, artisans, food trucks, live music, performances, the whole 9 yards. A lot of activities for the kiddos. That's at Lynn Haven, Sharon Sheffield Park, 9 until 3. Then we have the commissioning of the USS Pierre, and that is at 10 o'clock is when it starts. Parking lots open at 7 o'clock. It is a ticketed event, so you have to have tickets, but look at the weather. Fantastic. That's at Port Panama City. The parking is over at Gulf Coast State College, but a historic event there in Panama City. High temperatures Saturday, 70s all across our area. College football, Arkansas and LSU. Can't remember, has Arkansas's coach been fired yet? LSU's has, so probably both these guys are out, but still 11:45 kick, 70s for that one. And then we have Oklahoma and Alabama, 70s in Tuscaloosa. That's a big game at 2:30 kick for that one. Florida and Ole Miss, maybe they're swapping coaches. We'll see. 6 o'clock kickoff for that, 70 down into the mid-60s by the end of the game. Texas and Georgia, that's a great game. 60s, 6:30 kickoff for that. Mostly clear skies. And then Florida State and Virginia Tech, possibly both those coaches fired. 70s down into the 60s by the end of the game for that one. But all those games, the weather's looking fantastic. And then Sunday morning, look at this. Remember that moisture returning? 50s inland, 60s along the coastline. Look at what we're talking about. So Dan showed you a little bit ago the fog that was developing tomorrow morning in Escambia County. But notice we, on Sunday morning, start to see a little bit more of it spread across our area. It's not necessarily everywhere, but it's definitely going to be more noticeable and more prevalent Sunday as opposed to Saturday as that moisture returns. High temperature Sunday climbing up into the 70s area-wide. Now, for more on this warm weather and how long it lasts and what that could mean for next week, we go to meteorologist Dan Nyman.
Yeah, cold weather made the headlines to start off this week. And now as we get into next week, it'll be more warm weather that makes the headlines. Maybe not for us in the Panhandle as much as a little towards the west, the central U.S., going to see temperatures starting to rise up more significantly, starting to approach what would be daily record high temperatures. So not the warmest we've ever seen it, but certainly warm for the time of year. You can see that with the temperature set up for Friday and Saturday. We have this ridge of high pressure in place over the central part of the country right now, and that continues to stretch temperatures 20, even 25 degrees warmer than what would be normal for the time of year, and that's going to be real heat, I'd say, after the start of this week being so cool. It all comes with that ridge that's kind of parked itself right now across the middle part of the country. The west coast right now, you have a trough producing not just cool weather, but wet weather from Southern California all the way stretching into parts of Oregon right now, with an atmospheric river continuing to stream showers onshore. The eastern coast of the country, at least the northeast, seeing the same sort of effect, although because they're on the western side of that trough, they're dragging in dry and very cold air. And this pattern remains in lockstep all the way through the weekend, in fact, amplifying just a bit to start off next week, which means basically everywhere from Texas to us here in Panama City, outside of a few pop-up showers with the daytime heating, almost a summertime sort of setup towards the west across southern Louisiana, it's going to be high and dry. High pressure often has that effect, so it shouldn't be a surprise, but certainly it does make it difficult for us to continue to see any sort of improvement on the drought monitor. Now, as we get in towards Friday of next week, that's really the first opportunity we're looking for to see any sort of meaningful rainfall, and a 30% chance of rain is certainly nothing to get all that excited about. The next 7-day rainfall forecast does keep a chance of at least some midweek showers and thunderstorms from North Texas all the way across Arkansas early to the middle portion of next week. Rainfall totals of up to 5 inches, potentially some severe weather out there possible as well. But then you see, as you get further and further towards the east right here, the rain chances start dropping off. You get to about an inch of rainfall across a good swath of Mississippi, and then you get into Alabama. Well, it's really a quarter of an inch or less to look forward to. And for northwest Florida, you introduce a small pop-up rain chance for day 7 here on the forecast next Friday. Certainly not going to be a drought buster of a system. Your temperature trend, on the other hand, continues to look warm with high pressure in place. High pressure, kind of that happy weather, with the temperatures not only rising in the afternoon, but your morning lows a lot more comfortable too. So you'll be able to get away with just the t-shirt or a light shirt on as you get out the door. Maybe a little cool feeling to start, but by 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, we're well on our way towards a much warmer feel than we might normally consider thinking about as we get towards the end of November. At no point is it going to be super sticky outside. However, we definitely have an eye for dew point temperatures up around 60 degrees, and that'll add that comfort in the morning hours with the slightly warmer temperatures. But for the afternoon, you might still find that slightly stickier feel than you're used to after the dry air we've had all week. This week, weak little front tries to blast on through. That'll briefly knock the humidity down, but ultimately the pattern doesn't change a whole lot, with all of the weather systems riding around that ridge of high pressure. So you got that warm front to the north across Tennessee, back west a few showers next Wednesday in Texas and Oklahoma. Ultimately, though, things are not all that exciting in the weather department here in the Panhandle. Now, here's the long-range forecast. As we get towards the end of November, there's been a lot of funny business showing up on the modeling here, not necessarily for the Panhandle, but certainly changes coming across the United States. And you'll see here, as this pattern that remained in lockstep for so long finally starts to get a move on, that trough on the west coast will go from the California area to the central part of the country. Big changes in temperatures and the types of weather that'll be experienced will come as a result of that. Doesn't necessarily get close to us at first. You still have to beat down that ridge of high pressure progressively, but as we get in closer towards Thanksgiving, that's Thanksgiving week right there, well, things are starting to look like at least a chance to our west of cooler temperatures, at least a front on the horizon. Maybe eventually we'll start to sneak in some cooler temperatures here too, right as we get into the start of December. But that's way down the road. Certainly a lot of things can change, Chris. Right now, that 7-day forecast showing temperatures pretty steady through the 70s at the coast. Low temperatures continuing through the 60s. Inland areas certainly find warmer high temperatures, slightly cooler low temperatures, as we often see this time of year. We'll keep an eye out for the morning fog. I think this weekend might get a little break to start off next week, but as the dew points stay around 60 degrees and your low point temperatures here all the way into the upper 50s all throughout next week, I think fog will be a repetitive weather story for us here in the Panhandle pretty much as we continue over the next 7 days. We'll be waiting for rainfall, though, until at least Friday, at least meaningful rainfall, and even then, I don't think there's a whole lot to get excited about.
Yeah, it's looking quiet, but I think the attention turns to next weekend and Thanksgiving week if that pattern flips. Now, keep in mind, at the beginning of the week, we had rain for Sunday, and now at the end of the week, that rain is now Friday. I mean, the rain chances were pretty slim both times, but everything keeps getting pushed back with this pattern. So we'll see, but there's a chance Thanksgiving week that things could be a little bit on the dicier side. Certainly something to watch, because in the meantime, there's not a lot going on, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah. And we've seen a few questions, Chris, about Thanksgiving and what to expect for that. And then the big talker really across the United States has been about the longer range part of the forecast. Let's see if that works. Oh, look at that, Chris. Just coded that live and it pulled right in. So
nice.
Here's a look at upper level temperatures, really stratospheric temperatures here, and I'll zoom that in for you as we get into the end of this month. There has been a consistent signal for what's called a sudden stratospheric warming event. I don't expect that to mean anything to you or be anything of importance, but ultimately, warm temperatures up towards the poles looking increasingly likely. And what that does when you warm up the temperatures right across the Arctic region is almost like squeezing ketchup out of a ketchup bottle. You start to disrupt what we call the polar vortex, or effectively the cold air that remains trapped at the poles this time of year has the ability to leak further south. So a pattern change, generally speaking, and this is a very general forecast looking this far ahead, is possible as we start to introduce the chance of a little bit more unsettled jet stream pattern. You can see that stable polar vortex on the left, things pretty contained, the cold air at the poles, the warm air towards the coast here in northwest Florida. As things get disrupted and that turns negative, you start to see those waves in the jet stream. And certainly the European model here, as I drag this in, showing that repetitive sort of from this current warm weather to eventually seeing some of these troughs dipping towards the south. And eventually you see just towards the end of the modeling. So we're going to put low stock in this, but certainly a possibility, maybe a shift towards cooler weather, more active weather across the plains. And we'll see if we can drag some fronts back into the area, Chris, as we get in towards the start of December. A lot of discussion, at least across social media, about it being a cold December. I think for us, it's probably a little early to call it that, but certainly a little more active December with all of the changes that we might potentially see. It looks a little more likely at this time.
Yeah, and if that could lead to some rainfall, we may at that point take it. I mean, no one ever likes active weather, but we need something to kind of break down this ridge of high pressure. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to dry out here as we head into December. But I think is that all we got for today?
Yeah,
okay.
I think we've gone through a lot of stuff. That's 6:23.
Yeah, the wife is, I think, itching to have me take him out to dinner. Charlie's at the South Walton football game with some friends, so it's me, Maury, and Lila. We're going to go grab some dinner here. So y'all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Of course, we'll have updates coming throughout the weekend. Updates on the forecast. Will we see rain? How are the football forecasts? How are those looking? Keep it right here to Panhandle Weather, 24/7, your 24-hour source of weather information.
Y'all have a great weekend, great weather for the events. We'll catch you on Monday at 6 o'clock on Panhandle Weather Live.
Thanks for tuning in.